plumber on the TV? No, boss. Al didn't own a TV. If he did, he would not be watching golf. Golf had become little Joey's latest thing. The plumbers were getting coffee, Al watching, just in case. The guy is amazing. The golf course was another place that was a pain in the ass to watch over the boss. Little Joey was a terrible golfer. He swung like he was swatting flies. Al was sure his boss hated it, but the New York guys had taken it up and the ripples had spread. Sam and Al spent half their time looking out for snipers and the rest of the time looking for Joey's ball. That's one thing the fucking Russians can't do. Play golf. Al's eyes followed the plumbers. Backs to him now, sitting on their stools. The bell rang again. Al's eyes flicked quickly, like the tip of a whip. 2 guys, suits. Same guys as the day before. He watched. Real careful now. I need gloves. Why wouldn't he just shut up? Ricky says ever since he bought gloves, his game has improved. I have to stop slicing. Some guys hook, I slice. Al sensed somebody approaching. He tensed and swung. Relaxed. Only Troy Donna. If Al had had the time, he would have congratulated the kid on his demeanor, his whole technique, his patience, and, of course, his accuracy. But he never got that far because suddenly there was an automatic in the kid's hand, and Al knew he'd been bested, and it was the end. He never even felt the sting of the .22 caliber bullet, being already dead when the kid shot Sam through the throat. Acting on instinct, little Joey picked up a newspaper to shield his head. The kid put 2 right through the photo of Yuri Gagarin. The one thing little Joey might have approved of. Into little Joey's brain. Then walked calmly towards the door. Blake moved purposefully, just like the old guy who'd once done jobs for Capone had told him. Never rush out. It invites the unwanted, accidents, problems. You get hit by a car, knock over a pram. People remember that. I knew a guy. He fired, turned and ran straight through a glass door. He bled out on the pavement before the guy he shot. Wear glasses? All they remember. The guy wore glasses. By now, the door was within reach. He was aware of the sense of disbelief around him. It was too immediate for the witnesses to be afraid. They were still processing, thinking it must be some stunt, thinking what happened just then didn't actually happen. He pulled open the door. It felt light, like a cardboard prop. The bell jangled. They should invent a bell that doesn't jangle when you're leaving, he thought absently. All his thoughts were absent, or, at the most, viewed through tracing paper. It was always that way in the zone, and he'd been in the zone ever since he'd first entered the diner. Only when he stepped outside did he move into Technicolor. Jimmy had a gun on little Joey's driver, who was compliant, both hands on the steering wheel. Vince was covering the street. Right that second, Blake sensed the sedan approaching. It skidded to a halt. Marcello, always on time. Vince pulled the back door open for him and jumped in the front himself. Blake slid over. Jimmy piled in quick behind him and pulled the door. Marcello gunned the engine. Nobody spoke. No whoops, no shouts. It was business. Jimmy clapped him on the shoulder with that big hand of his that had always been there for him. The same right hand that had knocked their booze-hound father flat on his worthless ass and scared him out of their lives when Jimmy was just 17, when they still had a mother. All of this passed through Blake's brain before he heard the first siren heading back from where they'd left. Marcello finally said, "How many, kid?" "All of them." Vincent sighed. "I liked Al. It wasn't his fault. He worked for that cocksucker." Winter was coming. Cold air seeped in through the car body and seemed to elevate the smell of stale tobacco. Nobody had lit up a cigarette yet, even though Jimmy and Marcello were inveterate smokers. It was as if all those parts of the world not directly to do with assassination and escape had been frozen. After 20 minutes, Marcello pulled over 2 blocks north of their apartment block, popped the glove compartment, pulled out a lumpy envelope, and passed it across to Jimmy, who opened it and quickly skimmed the notes. $300. For a triple? What the fuck? The deal was only for Joey. And how else is he...